Imagine having the chance to see or possibly meet your doppelganger. Absurd events could occur, maybe to the point where a story can be told from one person's point of view, while truly being someone else's story. And what if that tale has already been told? Just to save time, it has, in the novel The Likeness. The Likeness is a mystery novel written by the Irish author Tana French. Tana French is an author who lives in Dublin, Ireland, and has written 6 novels. Along with Tana living in Dublin, all of the novel's protagonists have been in the murder squad at Dublin, hence, her novels being part of the Dublin Murder Squad series. One of the novels in the series, In the Woods, won the Edgar Award for Best First Novel, alongside a couple of her other novels being nominated for other awards. Really though, this is a review for The Likeness, so let's focus on that. The Likeness takes place in Ireland, and the story begins in April 2005 with the main character Casey Maddox, or is it Lexi Madison? Casey does mention this is Lexi Madison's story, not mine. However, it is from Casey's point of view, so I'll go with Casey being the protagonist. Lexi is dead. Spoilers. Being a story about Lexi, not much is told about Casey, which is a bit of a problem in my opinion, but it's not my story. However, we do know that Casey used to be on the murder squad, and after the events from In the Woods, left and became part of an undercover agency, followed by joining domestic violence. Though she left the murder squad, Casey was called one day by her boyfriend Sam, who works on the murder squad, and their acquaintance Frank to get help with a murder. The girl murdered was found to be Casey's doppelganger. Surprise. The girl, however, was using a fake name that Casey and Frank created a couple years prior for some undercover work. Lexi Madison. Pretty strange. Casey was shortly after manipulated by Frank into pretending to be Lexi and living with Lexi's friends for a bit of time to find hints toward Lexi's killer. Thus, Operation Mirror began. Anyway, in my opinion, that's extremely messed up. While I'm not 100% sure, it might be illegal. If not, why is it legal? Putting legality aside, this obviously will affect Casey negatively. Thus, Casey having to struggle to solve this case before being found out, and they keep from losing herself in the process. Luckily, out of Lexi's 4 close friends, Daniel, Raph, Justin, and Abby, only Daniel has a slight chance of discovering her secret. But there's no way that would happen, right? Anyway, after the first 2 weeks of Casey living in the Whitethorn house, the realization occurred that Casey was getting too attached to these people, began leading to a lack of investigation. And what's even better is Tana French began to characterize Casey, acting more as Lexi than herself, making the theme that Tana wanted to spread easier to be seen. The theme of self-identification. Self-identification is the attribution of certain characteristics or qualities to oneself, as stated by Google, and this is more than clear in the novel. With Casey trying to act as Lexi, causing mistakes on Casey's end to occur, it could be that Tana wants the reader to realize that there are parts of everyone that make him or her original. No one could just take over for them without change. While Tana French had the effects of this experience like Casey spot on, there's still a flaw to the novel, the way Lexi's friends act when she comes home. First of all, their friend was almost killed, yet they act as though they were barely worried. The second point, which is a pretty huge spoiler, is that one of them stabbed Lexi. They knew she was going to die. Why do they not seem surprised when she returns like a week later, acting as though she wasn't stabbed? Seriously, pretty unrealistic in my opinion. Putting opinions aside, how did Casey discover one of the 4 stabbed Lexi? Well, she made a few small mistakes and was found out by Daniel. Surprise. Daniel then told Casey details about the night, but was not specific enough for Casey to discover the killer. Luckily for her, not long after she was told that she has 3 days to discover the murderer, or she'll be kicked off the case. That's a lot of pressure. Can she even do it? Yeah, obviously. This obviously was a flaw of Daniel, and possibly Tana French. Daniel knew that one of the 4 people that were Lexi's best friends killed her. So why tell the person undercover that one of them killed Lexi? Seriously, pretty unrealistic for a person like Daniel. At least that's what I believe. This was shortly followed by Casey convincing Justin, Abby, and Raph to explain the event, but not reveal the killer. That was Daniel's job, I guess. Daniel overheard the conversation, went into the room, told Casey he stabbed Lexi, all while he had a gun in his hand. Obviously, Casey took hers out too. And you could probably guess what happened. Casey shot Daniel and killed him. It was self-defense though, he shot first. Wait, let's be honest. Who expected that to happen when they first started the book? That was extremely unlikely. But that's that. Casey solved the crime and the case is over. Really though, the person that stabbed Lexi was most likely not Daniel, as described by Frank with all the evidence that goes against it. I personally think it was Justin. That's the end though. I guess Casey gets engaged as well, but is that really important to the story? Probably not. Well, not to this one at least. Now that the plot summarization is over, time to go into the things about the novel that were good and bad. This probably should start on a positive note, right? The Likeness is a perfect novel for people like me that love suspense in books. The whole time Casey lived in the house, suspense was built like crazy to get you to keep reading. The ending especially had suspense built. Not only with discovering the murderer, but with how the relationship among the housemates was going to be after the case was over. It didn't go too well. Another amazing thing this novel presented, as I stated earlier, was the effects this had on Casey. I'd say it's pretty realistic with the way Casey became attached to these people and even their home. However, nothing is perfect, and The Likeness is no exception. Like I also mentioned earlier, the way Lexi's friends act when Lexi comes home is completely unrealistic and spoiler heavy. If their friend was just stabbed, why do you act as though it didn't happen? Oh yeah, because one of them killed her. That was pretty obvious from the start. Also, I personally believe that Tana French spent way too much time building the relationships between the characters. While it does help show that affects case out on Casey, half of the time it can be pretty easy to forget that Casey was working on a murder case. One final thing is the ending. Much like in the woods, we never truly discover what the whole book was leading toward. Who really killed Lexi? Oh well, it was still an amazing novel. Hence, here's a positive recommendation. Anyone that's a huge fan of murder mysteries or even psychological thrillers would enjoy this book in its entirety. Doesn't matter the gender, and the age group that would enjoy it would probably have to be teens and up. I mean, there is a murder involved. However, if a person hates mysteries or anything involving murder, he or she probably would not enjoy this at all. Especially if said person cannot deal with huge parts of a book feeling slowly paced with little progress involved. Putting all the negativity aside, Tana French has once again written an amazing novel that, while having some flaws, was an amazing experience for anyone that enjoys a suspense-filled genre with novels that have their own little twist to them. Really, it makes you wonder though, what would it feel like to meet your doppelganger?